For the past several months on Twitter, Doechii's name has become a very polarizing one. I don't know at what point it started, but the words industry plant have been thrown at her for anything that's newsworthy, whether it's her album releasing, getting massive, great reviews, being nominated for Grammys, being at award shows. A lot of people have pushed back on what her ascension has been. I thought this was just a Twitter conversation until I seen that Rolling Stone picked up basically the conversations that are happening on Twitter and made an entire article about it, which is shocking to me. I did not think that this was a big enough story, but now I anticipate that every hip hop media outlet will begin having the what is the industry plant conversation. I've already seen people from the Joe Budden podcast speak on it. I also seen Punch from TDE speak on it. So this is going to be the next topic for the next week or so, I anticipate. So I had to Google what the definition was for industry plant. An artist who presents themselves as being independent and doing things on their own terms, but secretly has the industry backing and money to fund them and to artificially shape such a narrative. Another definition was saying artists who become famous through connections, wealth, or inheritance rather than own talent. I mean, that could just be nepotism of any form, however. Based off reading that definition, there's a deceptive element to being an industry plant. I don't believe this fits Doechii's career rise just by that definition. We've seen her as a blogger on YouTube when she was just a regular person, when she quit her job. We've seen her go viral. I forget what year, it might have been 2020 for one of her songs. I forget the name. It was like a weird ass name though. But my first time knowing who Doechii was in 2021 when she was on Isaiah Rashad's House is Burning album. She was also performing the song that they collabed on at the Hip Hop Awards. And this was before she signed to TDE and that major, which happened in 2022. I guess that could have been when the connection happened to TDE, but she was still working on her own. She still had music out. It just wasn't very wide scale, but I think they had good reviews nonetheless. The following year, since 2021, she was on the freshman cover, I believe in 2022. She signed a TDE and her major. She has been on tour with SZA. She was on tour with Doja Cat and Ice Spice. And she was even opening up for Beyonce. So for the past, let's say, 3 or 4 years, she's built these connections. People have been in support of her, at least on the scale of liking her music enough to put her on these stages when they could have picked anybody. I don't get the notion that we look at her like an independent artist. Nobody's calling her an independent artist. It's clear that she has big industry backing. I think a lot of people hear that and they push back. Well, it's like, oh, well, y'all just saying that 'cause y'all are just jealous or like why are saying that she's talented. I don't think when people say this, they mean the person is untalented in any way. But the people who are calling her industry plant, I would like to know what do they mean by that? Because if it's just getting a big push, having a lot of support from different businesses or labels or big artists in that realm, that might not be genuine. Like, I would just want to know what we're defining it as. My belief of what they mean is that the push seems forced, like they're force feeding and it's just unnatural. I If that is what they mean when it's called somebody industry plant, it's gonna be so many people that can fit that criteria. It's always gonna be artists that we don't listen to on a heavy amount. So I had to compile a list of people who have been called industry plants over the last couple of years. We have Chance the Rapper. When people were calling him an industry plant in real time, I pushed back because I had been listening to Chance since 2012. But I do admit, his rise in 2016 was pretty crazy because it was another mixtape, and I'm just like, how the fuck is he just everywhere? But I'm a big Chance fan, so I'm just all the people just fuck with it. But I'm just not thinking about it now. I don't see giving niggas commercials, the Grammys and stuff, unless they would get something in return. Like doing all this fully independent, it is possible, but I just don't see the. I just see it as a low probability thing. And I think Joe Budden kind of got pushed back when he said this about Chance and when he said this about Brent Fires. Like they're not truly independent. But I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really researched the specifics of deals and stuff because I don't really give a fuck. I'm just a music listener, but I do understand when people believe this is inorganic. Another artist, Four Bats, last year or the year before, whenever he went viral, that nigga really did come out of nowhere. At least with Chance, with Doechii, there's evidence of them being around, being viral, and then getting that look. With Four Bats, I don't know, nigga just spawned. When I think industry plan, I'm just thinking motherfucker just spawned out of nowhere and shit. And gets called independent. That one probably does fit the criteria. I know his manager, or publicist, somebody that works for him is a exec at RCA or some shit. Maybe that's how the notoriety came so fast. There's Tommy Richmond. There's Lil Nas X. There is Cardi B, 6ix9ine, Lord, Paramore, Dua Lipa. These are just people I've seen get mentioned on Reddit and Twitter. Um, but for a lot of these names, they had some type of buzz before getting the peak notoriety that they ended up attaining. Like Ice Spice is another name, but she did go viral on Twitter for I think the Busted Challenge. So I'm just assuming she just kept going viral over the years, was doing music, and then just one really put her over the top with it. Would that be industry plan if somebody just invested money and got a return on it? Is good marketing now going to be called industry plant behavior? And so far in Doja's career, I just look at the moves as good. I can't prove that these things are being force fed. Her getting cosigns from big acts. How can y'all say that this is inorganic if the artist just probably just likes their music? Maybe they get something out of it, but like, what's the point of having conspiracy theories about that? I say the artist thing because she just went viral for performing with Lauryn Hill, and I'm just, what's the issue? What's the issue? The only pushback I have for that is Rory on his podcast with Maul saying that it's kind of fast, but bro, we've seen niggas get big cosigns earlier in their careers. And why should that be a thing that you only obtain deep into your career? If we want to push this genre forward and break new stars, that connection is pretty vital. And this is a Doechii who's already been on stage. She was on the VMAs performing with Katy Perry. She, like I said, she's already on tour and open up for Beyonce, open up for SZA, open up for Doja Cat. Why the fuck does she need to earn? And she just won a Grammy. And everybody holds the Grammys in very high esteem. A lot of people would say she had the best performance of the night during the Grammys. I don't think that the cosigns by her peers are disingenuous. I think they really like them because when I meet people in real life who listen to Doechii, they have great things to say about her. I don't really hear much slander. Now, if the argument is that a lot of people don't listen to Doechii outside, well, obviously I don't hear her outside. I don't hear her songs on the radio. Now that What It Is song with Kodak that came out a couple years ago, that one did break. I People probably don't realize that that was her, and it was a great record, and I feel bad because I believe if she had a big crossover record like that on her Alligator Bites album, a lot of these critiques would kind of be dismissed. If you have a big record that's everywhere, people are not going to question why you're getting pushed so much. Like, look, if I just compare it to other people in her genre, just another woman rapper, Glorilla, for instance. I didn't know who Glorilla was before Fuck Nigga Free. I don't know if she was an industry plant or anything, but that song blew up. Then she started having more and more and more. So when she had an album, people didn't really question anything about her career standing. With Doechii, if she had a breakthrough single like what it is on this one, granted, I know Denial is a River is a very popular song, but it's not a mass appealing song that is unavoidable. Like, I haven't heard it on the radio or outside at the club or nothing. I thought maybe Nissan Altima was gonna get to that point. It hasn't. So I think on her next project, it's gonna get critical acclaim on top of the expectations, which will make for a bigger moment, and it'll have a big hit or two to really solidify. You can't run from this shit. I've checked every box. I got cosigns. I have critical acclaim. I got awards. I anticipate she'll get much better sales because her shit is selling more than it did when it came out, and then also she'll have undeniable hits that Billboard worthy. So far, the only thing that has happened surrounding Doechii that gives me, I guess, forceful or is that the word? Like, not industry plant, but kind of force feeding would be the Billboard Women of the Year. I think it's an award that just got announced. It was on Twitter where I saw it. I don't know what the criteria is, granted, but for Billboard, I'm just thinking charts. For Billboard Music Awards, I'm verifying all these award winners. Well, let me see what the charts say. If you're saying this one's the best rap artist or best rap album, it must have spent the most weeks at the charts or charted the highest. It's a pretty easy metric to use as compared to like the Grammys or well, not VMAs that's vote on, but Grammys and like other award like American Music Awards where I don't know who's voting and I don't know the criteria. With Billboard, we don't know, but at least we have some type of reference to use. Doechii is not on like top of these charts for her genre. If they was gonna pick a woman, I would have thought it'd been like Sabrina Carpenter. Could have been, I don't know, Beyonce. Could have been, who else had a big ass year? Billie Eilish. Hell, if we're gonna go the rapper route, I thought Lotto and Glorilla, they had pretty good sales as well. So that one did throw me off. There was also the Rolling Stone article that I referenced where it was saying people are bullying or people are slandering Doechii and they should stop hating. That's not what the headline said. I'm just paraphrasing because I don't remember. But it was basically like saying reasons why people are attacking Doechii, which is very cringe because it's the same publication that was praising Kendrick for being a hater. I get it, they're gonna justify it by saying they don't look at Drake as a victim anyway, they're looking at him as an aggressor, but it still is very funny. So if you use the Rolling Stone article on top of the Billboard list, and then you're, even though I don't add this to it, but winning the Grammy and getting all these looks, then I get why people think she's being force fed. But still, by definition, that's not what an industry plant is, unless we're gonna change the fucking definition, man. But one more point I wanted to make on this, since I just brought it up, the her winning the Grammy. That's not too shocking. Before the Grammys happened, I looked on an app called Kalashi. It just does betting odds for things of this nature. She was favored to win Best Rap Album. And I did a comparison. I compared it to Death of Slim Shady, We Don't Trust You, The Auditorium by Common and P Rock, and Might Delete Later. Out of all those albums, the highest rated aggregates scored albums were Alligator Bites and The Auditorium. Granted, they didn't get big sales. They were critically acclaimed, and Doechii was very high on a lot of year-end album lists from publications and from music YouTubers. I don't think sales is the driving force for the Grammys. I never know what their deal is. I don't even know if it's the same voters every year. Because last year there was another outcry when Killer Mike won over Utopia. But it's similar reasons. It was a critically acclaimed album as well. It just didn't have big mass appeal to a point where everybody knew what it was. Some people think it's off of popularity, and I understand, but if you just watch the Grammys, it just happens pretty frequently. It's not every time. A lot of times there will be album that you've heard, but you see this shit with the Oscars. You see this shit with the Emmys. Sometimes a movie will win Best Picture or Best in a category that wasn't a blockbuster. It's like, what the fuck? But then you see the reviews, like, okay. At least there's something to verify. You're not gonna see an unknown album win unless it has very great reviews and it's top and hella list. Like there's something there. So it's not too surprising. And also the Drake and Kendrick beef has gotten so messy where the tribalism has infiltrated and carried over to artists just in their orbit. And Doechii, like Rock Nation, a lot of those people are going to get slander from Drake fans, and hell, even on Twitter, I don't know what started it, but even Nicki fans and Doechii fans are beefing. It's just a lot of tribalism in that realm that just makes a lot of negativity be attached to their names. It does not help that interview went viral with Doechii where she said that straight men are a red flag. I didn't take that too serious, but along with the critique of how she's been pushed to the masses with that, it is just not good timing. I think she's gonna explain it because she's gonna be asked about it later on. I don't think it was that serious, but people are gonna hold on to that. They don't like certain shit. The people that are calling her a plant and stuff, if they're consistent with it and call a lot of these other artists who came out the blue industry plant, well, even not out the blue because we seen a rise, but there's other people with comparable career paths as Doechii as industry plants, then I don't think it's unfair critique. I do think it's funny, and I don't believe that that would count as them being sexist or colorist or being an incel. I just think that they view people that they don't listen to as inorganic artists, man.